Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Your host tonight is Dom Giordano, D-O-M, Dom from Philadelphia, Talk Radio 1210. Follow me on Twitter at DomShow1210. The president has signed, I'm not sure exactly how many minutes ago, whatever, he signed the Epstein file to be released. Yet, Pam Bondi says it will take 30 days and it will be up online. So the president also made a point in signing this. Look at all the Democrats that are already connected to Epstein in this. Jeffries, the fundraising, the Plaskett woman. He was texting her information as she was interviewing Michael Cohen, the president's former fixer, and any number of others that it's going to come out. So this is good. We're moving forward on this. I wish you were out there tomorrow so we could see this and start to put it to bed. So that's one thing we'll keep our eye on tonight. But we have something juicy. Last night, I played you this montage. It's about a minute. I'm going to play it again. And then I'm going to give you the reaction this got today, including an interview with this Representative Crow, with Martha McCallum, who is as pro-military as anybody imaginable. It's been unreal. And in my neck of the woods, Representative Chrissy Houlihan, who was on this cut, is also outraged. Really, she's outraged. Here to talk about unlawful orders, the military, and a bunch of other stuff is my friend, in about 10 minutes or so, Colonel Allen West, the great Colonel Allen West, who also served as a congressman. So here's the montage these Democrats out of nowhere cooked up that we played last night.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
We raise this constantly, and you're going to hear Crow, who's on this with Martha McCallum, constantly raise this. You know what? Specifically, we know you're talking about Trump, but specifically, what's the illegal order? What's the area? Spill your guts. Tell us. Listen to this guy, Crow. Despite the fact that he's served in the military, I honor him for that. Martha McCallum is one of the nicest people I've ever met at Fox and is as pro-military. Everybody listening knows that by now. Listen to this guy's back and forth trying to say that Martha McCallum is knocking down the intelligence of people in the military because she's calling into question that they'll understand what an illegal order is. That's not what, and she parries this guy beautifully. Here's how it sounded.
You know, that's unfortunate that in politics these days people grab something and twist it and contort it and lie.
Some might say that
make it into
you have
something
grabbed
it's
something
not.
and twisted it and contorted it. You have, you know, you're talking to young members of the American military, and you're not telling them specifically what it is they should see as illegal. So you're putting ideas into their head that maybe they're being asked to do something illegal, and what we're seeing actually is recruitment rising. And people wanting to join the military under the president.
Here's an interesting fact for you, Martha. Our men and women actually are very smart, very incredible men and women in our military. And
you don't have
recent
to tell me that.
Well, apparently I do.
No, you don't, sir. I have great respect for the United States military.
Well, you don't think they can handle a reminder about federal law and the UCMJ, is what I'm hearing. And a recent survey showed that 8 out of 10 service members deeply understand their obligation of lawful orders, right? 8 out of 10. So we want to get that. That should be 10 out of 10. But this is something that they're trained on. Go and look at the training. Maybe even go and participate or observe some of the training that our men and women go through. It is incredible. We expect a lot of these men and women. They go through very intense, rigorous training because they're put in intense, rigorous positions. And frankly, I bristle at the notion that they can't handle a suggestion or a reminder of what the law requires them to do and what the Constitution requires them to do. You actually disparage them when you say that a simple reminder is something they cannot handle.
You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. I didn't disparage them in any way. In fact, I give them enormous credit.
You don't think they can handle reminders about their legal obligations?
I think
these men and women certainly can handle it.
If it was specific and they could figure out what order you're referring to, I have the most deep respect for everyone who serves in the military, including you, sir, for the sacrifice that you made. I did not make that sacrifice myself, so I put everyone who makes that sacrifice in a very special place in my heart. And I believe they're there to serve the country. So you have put out this video. It's getting a lot of attention. I thank you for joining me to talk about it. And I think, people can look at it and take away from it what they want. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to be specific about what illegal actions you were referring to. So thank you for being here, Congressman, and thank you again for your service.
All right, talk about a straw man. She's not talking about the fact they don't have the intelligence. She wants the specific. This guy keeps on going straw man because they made a mistake here. They made a big mistake, and America reacted, how dare you? Because some innocent servicemen now may be questioning God knows what. When have we ever seen a service reminder on this? So to take you inside, the military guy I know that's the most honored and comes on my show in Philadelphia, coming up, the great Colonel Allen West. What does he think about illegal orders and this straw man and these military people? Then I'll tell you some more of the reaction. That is straight ahead on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, Dom Giordano pinch hitting for Rich, and it's always an honor when I get him on in Philadelphia. I remember doing a book. His book is when I first met him out there at Valley Forge Military Academy. I'm talking about he is the current chairman of the Dallas County, Texas GOP, executive director of the American Constitutional Rights Union, former congressman from Florida. Of course, Colonel Allen West, his only flaw, he may be a Cowboys fan. Colonel.
Oh, man. Dom, how you doing?
Well, very good. I hear you were traveling, so it's great to get you. I had to go into the bullpen with this. It is. I've never seen anything like this, Colonel. I'm not sure with traveling. I played when Representative Crow came on with Martha McCollum today and said about this tape, well, Martha, you must not think the American military is smart. This is just a refresher course for them.
Incredible. You know, when you think about what they did, I mean, this is borderline sedition and treason to make the comments and make the video that these guys have made. And where were these folks when it was Joe Biden sitting in
Right.
in the Oval Office, and all the things that he did to undermine the effectiveness, the efficiency, the readiness of the United States military to, put them in that horrible position in Afghanistan where 13 unnecessarily lost their lives and no one was held accountable for that. But you should not play politics with the United States military. And if things were going so bad for the military, explain to me why the recruitment levels and retention levels are back up to, some all-time highs.
Yes, that was brought up. And Colonel, with this, they either clever or whoever put this together, they say the specific target, the president, but they do not say what are the general areas, at least. They talk about the military turning on U.S. citizens. Are they talking about this Venezuela hits? Are they talking about ICE? The fear in Philadelphia, when I had people on from the military and wanted to ask you is, some, eager recruit, younger person and all hears this, it gets around. Not that they hate Trump or anything, but maybe they start to really question every order that's out there and start to think, is that constitutional, whatever. We go down that path. That's how people get killed.
No, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, in the military, you're told you do not have to follow an order that is unconstitutional, immoral, unethical, and that calls into question, Joe Biden telling all the people in the military they had to get the shot. But yet,
right.
When you had military members stand up and say, I don't want to do that, then you have the left coming down on the military members. But now, all of a sudden, they're not the ones that have the commander-in-chief with a D after his name. They want our military to stand up and question the commander-in-chief, question the president. And that's very dangerous for what they're doing, especially when it's coming from members of the United States House and Senate, members who have said they will support and defend the Constitution. But yet, where were their voices when Joe Biden was violating Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution and opened up our borders? So now we have terrorists, we have criminal, illegal immigrants running about and running amok. Dom, we've talked about this before. We've lost over 250,000 Americans to fentanyl, to cocaine, to other methamphetamines, all of these drugs coming in from the Mexican drug cartels, who in themselves are a terrorist organization. So I don't understand what these people are talking about.
Yeah, it is shameful, and one of them happens to be in my area, Chrissy Houlihan, who served in the Air Force, and she says what we're doing right now is insidious. All they're doing is just trying to establish this once again. Now, you have expertise in this. We had some military people come in, but they weren't at the level of a colonel. How rare it would be that you get an order that's illegal, unethical, unconstitutional. The unconstitutional thing strikes me. How in the military, particularly when you're sort of in a combat zone or in combat or anything like that, you're not going to be parsing constitutional issues. This is the type of thing that's handled by the Supreme Court and others. In your experience, wouldn't it be pretty rare that we'd come across an illegal order?
Yeah, it would be. And like I said, the biggest illegal order that we saw was forcing these soldier,
right.
sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen to take that shot. But that was okay because that's what the left wanted. But when you look at combat operations, and understand this, when we're talking about these transnational narco-criminal terrorists, they are non-state, non-uniform belligerents. They're out there on a battlefield. They're seeking to infiltrate the United States of America and do harm against the American people and American citizens. So us taking action against them, it'd be no different from us taking action against Al-Qaeda, the Taliban. You could actually say that this is an extension of the quote-unquote war on terror, because that's who these people are. They don't wear uniforms. They hide in the shadows, and really and truthfully, they're a threat to the civilian population.
And I might add, they don't live in the real world here. People saying, well, why don't we just corner them and catch them? They have high-powered boats. They're on the open sea. That's a pretty big place out there to be cornering somebody.
Yeah, and I hate maybe people don't understand. These are high-powered boats that can hit, 160 to 180 miles per hour. And so there is no Coast Guard cutter that can keep up with them. And so we have these tools called the drones. And this is not a law enforcement operation. And I think a lot of people need to go back and read the Monroe Doctrine, things of that nature that says that we have a right to protect ourselves in our hemisphere from foreign incursion and invasion and intervention. And without a doubt, that's what we see happening here. So, you know, anything that Donald Trump does, to include trying to protect the American people, is just antithetical to the existence of these Marxist leftists, and they want to stand against it, to include undermining our national security.
Colonel Allen West with us. Put on your political hat for a moment. We'll talk about the Texas GOP in a moment. But the Epstein thing signed by the president tonight, only one dissenting vote. I don't see any reason he was reluctant to do this, and we saw all this bad advice back and forth. And Democrats have a lot more to defend around Epstein. We see at least two or three major things. Hakeem Jeffries writing him letters for fundraisers even after he was convicted the first time of being a sexual predator.
Yeah, and I guess it was also the member of Congress that was texting him doing a congressional hearing. So I think that what Pam Bondi and others have said, or the Speaker Johnson says, the Democrats had all of these files. They could have released all these files. Now, all of a sudden, when the Schumer shutdown, this insidious shutdown that they led, they continued to perpetuate against the American people. When that fell apart, now all of a sudden they want to try to change the narrative. But, you know, I think that it's going to be more damning for the Democrats, as you just articulated, and many others as well. And so Donald Trump has, you know, nothing to hide in full transparency. And also, Dom, if Donald Trump had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein, don't you think that the Democrats would have brought that out back in 2016?
Yeah, they've had three shots at him running for president, then 2020, and then the last time around. Of course, they would have leaked it. They would have made a big deal about it. That's all that we would have heard about. Colonel, stand by, please. Want to talk a little bit more with Colonel Allen B. West. And the Colonel is the chairman of the Dallas County, Texas GOP, executive director of the American Constitutional Rights Union, among other things. We'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff going on in Texas that has a national scope and where the politics are of affordability and things of that nature. But here's a guy who was in command, who saw this up close and personal, and the idea that suddenly the military needs refresher courses from Chrissy Houlihan and these others. I'll ask him about Mark Kelly, too. That's the one I'm surprised at. Mark Kelly doesn't strike me as someone engaging in this. He's a Democrat. I differ with his politics at times. But how in the world would he think this is a good thing to do, that this can't backfire? And you heard the Crow guy with Martha McCallum, that she's demeaning the military, saying they're not intelligent enough to know about this stuff and how to deal with it. Is that what people are saying? Or are they saying, how dare you make it even more difficult for the military just to get at President Trump? That's exactly what's going on. Phone line to get in on America at Night are 833-482-5337, 833-482-5337. Get you on board. Need to hear from some more military people, particularly this Congressman Crow, trying to set up a straw man that we're saying the military is not smart enough to understand this. And we'll get a little bit more from Colonel West. Dom Giordano on America at Night on Westwood One.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Dom Giordano sitting in on America at Night. Follow me on Twitter at DomShow1210, at DomShow1210. And it's always an honor and insightful to get on the show, wherever I am, Colonel Allen West and the Colonel with us talking about this refresher course in disobeying the commander-in-chief. Colonel, though, your day job back there now as the chair of the Dallas GOP, you have a big Christmas Hanukkah gala coming up. Is the Colonel there?
Is that? Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Colonel. I said you have
Yeah.
a GOP has a Christmas Hanukkah gala coming up in Dallas.
Yes, we do, and it's going to be December the 6th at a location called The Hangar. You can go to dallasgop.org and go down to the events page, and please, we'd love for you to come out and support us. A lot of folks don't realize that Texas is one of the big states for human and sex trafficking in the country, to include child sex trafficking, and Houston and Dallas are in the top 5 cities in the United States of America for that human and sex trafficking. And so we want to inform our folks here in Dallas County about what's going on so that they can make sure they can be more alert and more aware. So please come out and join us December the 6th.
With the border being relatively almost completely shut down, how is sex trafficking still an issue? What happens then without the border?
Well, the problem is that in the major urban population centers, like here in Dallas County, we have a Dallas police chief who just refused to work with ICE under the 287G program. We have a Dallas County sheriff that does not work with ICE. And so you're basically setting up these sanctuaries where these traffickers can still operate. And so we're dealing with the problem that got into the state of Texas right now, instead of so much the problem of keeping them from getting into the state of Texas.
Well, and in your book, you talked about hold Texas if you're going to hold the nation. So it seems like we're back to the same thing internally. You do have the governor, even though I know at times you have difference with him. The politics of Texas. How does Texas stand for the midterms, do you think?
Well, it's going to be interesting. You know, we just had that 3-person federal court panel that ruled against the redistricting here 2-1. And it's very interesting, Dom, because there's a case before the Supreme Court right now coming out of Louisiana that challenges racial gerrymandering, saying that it is unconstitutional. It's a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. And so what this panel basically said is that quote unquote, racial gerrymandering is okay if you're a Democrat and you're doing it for 11% of this country's population, which is the black community. But if anybody else tries to do it, a la Republicans, it is not. And what happened here in Texas had nothing to do with racial gerrymandering. It is all about making sure that Texas is represented according to the electoral results that we saw, especially from November of last year. So I think that they really put the left in a tough position, because if the Supreme Court comes back and says, no, racial gerrymandering is not constitutional, even, Voting Rights Act Section 2, it does not align with the Equal Protection Clause, then you're going to see 19 to 20 congressional districts across the South get redistricted.
Yeah, and Massachusetts is another example. Republicans got 42% of the vote, yet there's not one Republican congressperson from Massachusetts, not one.
The hypocrisy is laughable, and especially when you see what they're doing in California, where they're basically saying we don't want any Republican representation, which is no different from Pritzker and what they've done in Illinois.
What is it Alan B. West would like to see the Republicans in Congress do now? How do you see Johnson and what they've been doing? Does it seem reasonable? Do they seem weak to you? What's your sense of what's going on with them?
I think so far they've done very well. I think that they've had a good, successful year. But I think right now, the buzzword across the country is affordability.
Yeah.
The left has come up with this word. And I think it's so important that the Republicans correctly define affordability, because what the left is trying to do, these Marxists and Leninists and leftists, they're saying affordability means we just take control of everything. And when I went to East Berlin, I saw what rent-controlled housing looked like. There were tenements. I saw what government-controlled grocery stores and retail stores look like, empty shelves in many cases. So I think it's really important that we own that narrative and say that affordability means putting the money back into your pocket to enable you to have the equality of opportunity to afford what you want, not, government trying to make the equality of outcomes and determine what can be affordable to you.
Absolutely. Colonel, thank you so much coming on tonight. Have a great Thanksgiving. And on social media, where do we find Colonel West?
You find me on all the platforms, and you know that I'm not on TikTok because
yes.
We don't support the Chinese Communist Party. So God bless you, and a happy Thanksgiving, Dom.
Thank you, Colonel. Give your regards to the whole family. Thank you for joining us, as always.
Yes, sir.
There's Colonel Alan B. West here on Talk Radio 12 on I'm so used to having him on in Philadelphia, on America at Night. And you heard what he said about several things there, even the politics of all this. Here's how you get in. 833-482-5337. Now, you heard Congressman Crow, who has pretty good military background and experience, come on with Martha McCallum, who is, I would argue, the biggest pro-military person in the things that she's done on Fox News in her career. All kinds of things over the years. Everybody knows that. And try to spin it that we are saying the military is too stupid to understand this whole thing. And it was just a refresher course. No, it was not. Out of the blue, these people got together and they decided they were going to open another front of resistance against President Trump. Representative Chrissy Houlihan, Chester County, right outside Philadelphia. She said, I'm not telling people to ignore orders. I'm enormously frustrated with the way that this very sensible video is being interpreted in a really insidious way. And yet they will not give a specific reason why it's so necessary to talk about something extraordinary. And where I am in Philadelphia, even with Houlihan involved, the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is the biggest news organization, think New York Times, New York, Philadelphia Inquirer, similar thing in Philadelphia, they have not even covered the story yet. They haven't written anything about it. This is this is the tip of the spear, how far these people are trying to go to get at President Trump, even undermining the military, starting another front there. You're a Colonel West. You heard some people call in that were military last night. I'd love to hear from more military people how rare this is to have an illegal order. So why do this? Because they're saying what Trump is doing is illegal in general. Is it the gunboats? We talked about that. You heard what Colonel West said. Very hard to hem them in. Now, if they take over and they feel that the president has exceeded his authority, they could impeach him on this. That's the remedy. But I think President Trump ought to be attacking the cartels in Mexico with drones and the like. Mexico saying, no, we don't need your help, meaning we're not going to do anything. And on it goes. Isn't that one of the reasons Trump was elected? These things that we put up with every day, on and on and on it goes. And Trump, like it or not, on the other side, comes in and at least attempt to say, no, it's not business as usual. Now, I don't like what he's doing with the Saudis. A little bit later in the show, we'll talk about what he said today about HB1 visas and how Americans can't do stuff. This is completely out of line. But on stuff like this, taking on the Venezuelan government, which is a drug cartel, he is exactly in the ballpark, and I think America supports that overwhelmingly. All right, love to get you in at 833-482-5337. Dom Giordano, Dom, D-O-M, sitting in on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. Call now, 833-4Valdez. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4Valdez. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, Dom Giordano with an M on Dom. 833-482-5337 gets you on board. Just heard the great Colonel Allen B. West, and I played you the Crow guy. It's that guy today was more infuriating even than this tape that the Republicans, this video that they put out. And now, woe is us. You're saying the U.S. military can't understand, and constantly going back to that. And Martha McCallum is a sweetheart, first of all, brilliant journalist, and saying, well, then tell us something specific. This is not just about these Democrats here. It's about the media. The media not demanding that they either say, all right, we didn't mean this. We're going to stand down on this. We don't want to cause trouble with the chain of command. Or specifically, you want to have the debate on the Venezuelan drug boats, but they say the Army and U.S. citizens. Are they talking about ICE and the military backing them up in some way, shape, or form? Those are not U.S. citizens. This was as lame as you possibly could. They've gotten caught. They're getting caught up in Epstein. Now, I'm not absolving the president because I don't understand in this sense why in the world he was dragging his feet on Epstein. There's nothing here that puts him criminal or anything or impeachable or anything else. In fact, it's Democrats that have stuff to answer for here with the initial burst of this. And it shouldn't take us 30 days. We ought to be able to see the entirety of the file tomorrow. Why wait 30 days? Unanswerable. Just don't understand what's going on here. Maybe after I see something else, I'll be able to answer that. Let's go to Steve in Somers, Connecticut, WDRC. Steve, welcome to America at Night.
How are you doing?
Good, Steve.
Okay, I just want to comment on your last comment. I think the reason Trump held back, and I'm not sticking up for him, because I'm pretty mad at him, and I'm an independent voter, and I voted for him twice.
Okay.
And, I bought the rap just like every other person bought the rap. But if you follow Trump for as long as I have, since 1980, and I personally met him, nice guy, no problem. But he did a lot for New York back in the day. And a lot of these liberals wouldn't have granite countertops and marble bathrooms if it wasn't for Trump, because he set the standard back then. And, he did a lot for
Yeah,
people,
but Steve, let's focus in on this then. There's nothing that's implicating him here. Why continue to drag your feet on this? Democrats have more to answer for here ultimately. Why take this damage? Why?
I think he might be trying to get, if he releases all this information, it's going to alert all the people that are going to have to lawyer up real quick, and they'll have a lot to go on with their cases, like evidence-wise, probably. Maybe Bondi's trying to indict some of these people. That's all I'm saying. They're going to, the Democrats are in such a rush to get this stuff so they can find out who these people are and then get their stuff going.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Thanks for the attempt at that. But, the Democrats had it. They could have released it on Trump before. It makes no sense to me. It truly does not. Get this out there. Let's move on. We talked with Colonel West about affordability issues like that. Yeah, they seem to be on that now. They seem to be focused on that. I didn't like a lot of the Saudi stuff. All right, they're going back home. Particularly something the president said today, I'll get to a little bit later in the show, about Americans not being up to the level of these people bringing factories into the country. And MAGA will still love them. Well, it's one thing to support Trump, but I'm not going to support every word he says. It's offensive to me, the stuff he says. We had this last Christmas, around this time of the year. Remember that with Elon Musk and particularly Vivek Ramaswamy? Vivek saying, well, Americans go to sleepovers too much. They can't compete in the world. Wow. Those are fighting words. They truly are. So he did sign it. 30 days it'll be out. I would just say, can we do it next week? My God. Just get this out there. Let's put an end to it. Here's how you get in. 833-482-5337.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
America at Night, Dom Giordano pinch hitting, and it's another busy news night. I think it was even more despicable today, the response of these congressmen and senators who really caused a lot of trouble and now are trying to still be on the attack when they're the ones that are undermining the chain of command. Let's go to Jim next here on America at Night. Hi, Jim. Welcome to the show. Okay, let's go to Tony in Montreal here on America at Night. Hi, Tony.
How you doing? I'm doing fine, and I am listening to you, and I definitely agree with you, Dom, that those particular congressional leaders that made that video today is despicable, and it's another attack on the chain of command, and it's an attack on the American people and the electorate. I think that the Democratic Party should go out and have a sobering night out and accept the fact that they lost the election and that everything that they're doing is like crying over spilled milk. They're like the guys that take the ball, they come to play soccer, and they decide they're getting their butts kicked, and they decide to take the ball home because they can't stand the opponent. Well, guess what? You lost the election, and everything that you're doing is making yourself look bad. And unfortunately, Dom, this is their game plan. It's constantly attacking on all fronts in the media, whether it's in the liberal media or in the conservative media. The agenda is always attack, try to diminish, and try to distract him and obstruct him from his saying. I see that you don't always agree with Trump, but you're out front. You say what you say, and you say it out of your own beliefs, and that's honesty. But they are just obstructing. And how can you be against a person that's saying, I'm trying to stop the flow of drugs into the United States, where 250,000 Americans are dying every year? What's your solution?
Well,
if you don't want to
and West, Colonel West just made mention again, you don't hear this often enough, Tony, they might have speeds of up to 160 miles an hour. So how are we going to corral them in some other way? We're not going to be able to.
I don't know if you've been to Mexico, Dom.
Yeah, I have
but
been.
It is a country. It's a country under complete control of the cartels.
Right.
Those cartels get their money from South America, whether it's Colombia or wherever. You know, that is it is an incipient. It's destroying your country. It's destroying Canada. Those drugs that are coming in are killing people. That's a declaration. Right. As far as I'm concerned, that's a declaration of war. You want to poison us? That is another way of killing us. You don't drop bombs. You kill us in another surreptitious way. So
thank you, Tony. It is. Thank you, Tony, very much. It is. Now, I have been to Juarez. I interviewed the mayor of Juarez. We're in this bunker, and I asked him why all those school desks and all for the blast in case we were blown up. It was a short interview. So I've seen it. Yet exactly right. And yet the president of Mexico will not accept help from President Trump. Are we ultimately going to drone the drug cartels in Mexico? I think we should. Is that what they're talking about in this? They won't be specific. Maybe they're going to back away now. This failed once again. All right. Hit me on Twitter at DomShow1210. Let me know what you're thinking at DomShow1210. Alan West on top of it with this, someone who actually served and had to deal with these illegal orders and the repercussions of it. Dom Giordano on America at Night, sitting in on Westwood 1.
from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Okay, Dom Giordano sitting in for Rich here on America at Night, and this is breaking late afternoon, early evening. Just a brief point, then I'll get to President Trump with the Saudis and saying Americans are not as smart and all this stuff. This Representative Sheila Phyllis McCormick, Democrat in Florida, has been indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly stealing $5 million in funds vis-a-vis a $5 million overpay for a COVID vaccination staffing contract in 2021. Rather than return the funds, the allegation says, the Democratic lawmaker routed it through multiple accounts to disguise its source. She conspired with her brother, they say, to pull off the scam. She faces up to 53 years in prison. When you think, one of the things that stuns me is we all lived through COVID. We saw the petty tyrannies. Alan West on the show earlier tonight talk about the military being kicked out for not taking the shot, all of that. Schools closed down. The science was off. We have not had a reckoning. Every time I see something like this, it didn't come up for some reason in the election. A lot of people were wrong about this. So the amount of money scammed, the amount of stuff that went into this with schools and everything else. Here we're dealing with $5 million allegedly she thought she'd get away with. How? Well, because of the enormity of the money, because we've seemed to have forgotten about the lessons of COVID and what we went through. All right, that's one thing. Now, I saw this today, and to me, what gets into President Trump? He gets in front of a crowd, and it's even worse. This is with the Saudis. I have even more than the cut I'm going to play. So he's in front of the Saudis, the investment forum today, and others, and he talked about the fact that we don't have enough sharp people. We don't have enough smart people in this country. Now, you may remember around this time over the holidays, more over Christmas than Thanksgiving, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk started up. Elon calmed down a little bit. Vivek did not. He got kicked out. Remember, he said Americans are pampered. They have too many sleepovers versus competing with other nations, right? Are you tired of hearing that? And the president blatantly says, I have it word by word here, and I'll play you some of it. Well, the MAGA people don't know what MAGA is as much as I do, and they're still going to love me. Now, there's a lot to like with Trump and the policies, without a doubt, and the achievements. There is no doubt. And when you look at the alternative, there really is no doubt. But when he does stuff like this, grandstanding in front of the Saudis, and talking about the American people are going to have to learn and we'll have to import all these people. Now, that's what he did in a previous life as a businessman. I am so sick of this HB1 stuff, the importing of these people. Usually, the sole goal, you know what it is, and I know what it is, and that's to undercut Americans in another field. That's exactly what goes on here. To undercut their wages, undercut their value. The Wall Street Journal, people like that, they want to undercut Americans. They're not better than Americans. We have all kinds of people here. Are you in the other camp that say we need all these superstars from overseas? We have too many people that American colleges are taking from overseas to put into those seats, and the reason they do it, they have to pay full price. They're not going to get any breaks as American students might make because of all the tax dollars we pay. No. Put foreign students in there, they pay full freight. China and the rest. All right, so here's the president. And then I want to get your reaction. If you're a Trump supporter, you should not turn yourself into a pretzel when the president goes off the rails. And he's done this on this issue multiple times in the last couple of weeks. And again, acknowledging the policies he was elected, the achievements. His biggest achievement, by the way, I'm convinced when it's all said and done, is going to be turning the Republican Party into the party that says we're not going to get involved in these unending wars. We're not going to lose American lives and not even know, like the Bushes. We have Dick Cheney's funeral coming up. We're not going to do that anymore. That is, I think, an incredible achievement. He's made that the policy. Hopefully it'll stick going forward. But when it comes to something like this, he starts in front of the Saudis, it bothers me, and then the idea that we're going to accept this because MAGA just loves the president. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Doesn't this undercut America first? Give me a call. Be passionate. Tell me, no, we need these people from foreign countries. Really? Across all of America? I'll admit it. I'm not even a fan of European basketball players in the NBA. Maybe a handful are better than some American players. But by and large, are you kidding me? We don't need them. We can beat them every time. All right, here's the president talking about this investment stuff and all these factories, and Americans don't know how to make chips, and I'm going to bring these people in.
Extremely complex plants. You're building plants to make computers and to make telephones, to make a lot of different things, missiles. But you're building plants that make things that are very, very detailed, and you have to have great knowledge. And you're coming here and you find if we don't have people that did that before, we are allowing you, and I may take a little heat. I always take a little heat from my people, the people that love me and the people that I love. They happen to be toward the right of center, toward the right. Sometimes they're way right. But if you have to bring people to get those plants open, we want you to do that, and we want those people to teach our people how to make computer chips and how to make other things. You can't come in, and I'm explaining, you can't come in, open up a massive computer chip factory for billions and billions of dollars like is being done in Arizona and think you're going to hire people off an unemployment line to run it. They're going to have to bring thousands of people with them, and I'm going to welcome those people. Now, I love my conservative friends. I love MAGA, but this is MAGA. And those people are going to teach our people how to make computer chips. And in a short period of time, our people are going to be doing great. And those people can go home where they probably always want to be. You know, when people are born someplace, they tend to want to go, and we have the greatest country in the world. But they want to go, but they're going to do. We had one case in Georgia where a battery factory. Batteries are very dangerous to make. They're complex, much more complex than people understand. And they spent $1 billion to build a factory, and they were told to get out. And I said, stop it. Don't be stupid. And we worked it out. And now they're teaching our people how to do it. But they're going to have to spend, Jensen, I don't think you can open up a big plant with your friend from Taiwan where we're going to have 40 or 50% of the computer chip business I don't think you can do that with people that don't even know what a chip looks like. Do you agree with that? So somehow, you know, the people that are against this are really, really smart. They're unbelievable patriots, but they just don't understand. Our people have to be taught. This is something they've never done. And we're not going to be successful if we don't allow people that invest billions of dollars in plant and equipment to bring a lot of their people from their country to get that plant open, operating, and working. I'm sorry.
All righty, let's take the gloves off on that. I know you can grab any little part of it and say, well, Dom, come on now. I resent it. I resent all that. Not the United States. We are the United States. Name it. We can do it better than anybody in the world. You know, they have somebody here that works for that. I'm not begrudging their management, the person here in the air and all that stuff. But in front of these people, it's just humiliating to be talking like this. That's not MAGA. That's not America First to me. If it is to you, I get it. Your loyalty to the president on everything. No, that's not loyalty. The president had this goofball in $50,000 50-year mortgage thing that got in his ear, and he said it. And what happened? We pushed back on it. He rescinded it. This type of lecture, particularly with the Saudis and these others there, give me a break. We're not begrudging somebody that is very critical to a business operation, but he's talking about being inundated. We don't know this. We don't know how to make that and all. This is the United States of America. Is that xenophobic? Is that chauvinism? I don't care. That's what I think. That's what I know. You know, where in the world are you going to go for anything that's complicated, the best? You know where they're going to go. Are they going to go to these places for some complicated brain operation? No, they're coming here. You say that, you get wound up in front of these people to gush them and do all that. I get it. But there's too much of that from the president. He did it a couple weeks ago around a similar issue. How do you feel when you hear that stuff? Is that MAGA, or is he saying, look, you're too far right. You heard him there. You're too far conservative. You don't get it. You don't get what MAGA is. Well, America first is America first to me. That's Americans. All right, here's how you get in. 833-482-5337. Where do you come down on this? 833-482-5337. It doesn't mean you're a traitor to Trump. What's your definition of MAGA, America first? Clearly, the definition of me is to say the things that I said. And again, let's not get into the weeds and allowance for a few people here and there who helped set up the company and all the rest of it. We don't know what we're doing. Really. The United States doesn't know what we're doing in these areas. Are you serious about that? Do you have to believe that in order to support the president? I say you don't. I think you have to tell him, no, Mr. President, you're wrong in this, and he changes his mind, as he did in any number of things, like the 50-year mortgage. You know, people get wound up, they hear an idea, they throw it out there, and it's rejected, and then he changes. Doing this in front of these people is embarrassing to me. It's embarrassing. It's wrong. 833-482-5337. Dom Giordano sitting in on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Kind of at the heartbeat of America. And you sit there in this radio studio, and suddenly you hear voices. Mobile, Dallas, New York, Miami. And there's kind of a conglomeration of America all in one room.
All right, that's exactly right. That's America at Night. By the way, President Trump had this a little while ago. I think it was last week. He was on with Laura Ingraham, and Ingraham challenged him, rightfully so, about we don't have enough skilled people, enough smart people in these things, etc. I'm never going to accept that. I don't care who says it. I don't care what your support is and all that. It's not a repudiation of Trump and what he's done. It's just saying, no, I don't accept that. That's not America. That's not what turns us on as Americans. We believe, and we're correct, that we are the people that can do and will do anything. And this idea to appeal to this crowd and to be couching it and dancing around, no one's objecting if they have some way that they proceed to set up their business. But Americans don't know anything about chips. Really? Are you kidding me? Let's go to Sandra, Hurley, New Mexico, KNUW. Sandra, welcome to America at Night. Hi.
Hi there. Okay, so I understand your position on it, and I agree with you as an American also. I believe in American exceptionalism. If we're talking about making, computer chips, then let's find out who in America knows how to make them already, so we're ready to make them when the manufacturing plant gets built.
Sure. Well, we have them. We have people that can do this. Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah, and do we have enough of them to actually operate the plant and get and whatever negotiating that Trump's doing to also bring the employees with the plant could potentially be part of the negotiation package. The other part that you're talking about in the Ingram show, I don't necessarily agree with that. Americans are smart. They can figure out how to do it. But Trump's looking at trying to get everything that we're ready to run as soon as we hit the ground. Okay.
We are, though. Wait a minute. This is America, though, Sandra. Don't backpedal from where you are. Either you believe we are or not. And I believe we are. We're America. We're the capital of the world. Of course we have the people to do this. That doesn't mean they can't have their managers, you know what I mean, and all that. That's perfectly fine. But Americans don't need to be trained up by a bunch of people from other countries. That's ludicrous.
No, but I don't know how many actually computer chip people that we have here. Do you know the count?
Yes.
No?
I would take the
knows.
bet right now, anywhere, against anybody who calls in tonight. We have thousands, tens of thousands.
That are ready to work if the plant was here tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know that answer until I hear from them.
All right. Well, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. So we're talking about something. How could we prove this? It's offensive to me, too, doing in front of this and trying to dance and couch it. He did it with Laura Trump on this issue. I don't know why he feels a need to do that, other than to say, as the president says here, well, he has control over MAGA. If you don't like this, he's the one that gets to define what America First is. I don't think that's the case. I think we get to define it. And I think this is outside the boundaries of what that means. And no, because of this last week, it's not just about saying, well, you got to let them, we don't have enough and all that. No, he talked with Laura Ingram, but not enough skill, not enough smart people. That's just not true. For all the baggage we have, all the people not pulling their fair share and doing all that, we are still the United States of America. That is a core belief that, to me, is unshakable up and down the line. That if we want to do it, if we have the right leadership, we can do anything. You either believe that or you don't. And it's embarrassing. For a few laughs in front of these people, I'm glad they're investing in the United States. But we got to beg and kowtow to them, and we got to pretend that we're not the United States of America in order to glad hand them? No, that shouldn't be part of the deal. Are we that desperate? All right, phone lines are 833-482-5337. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't have an opinion on this, I don't think you have a pulse. Which way do you go in this? Of course, they're managers, stuff like that. I get it. They have a way that they do it. That's fine. We need the business. I agree. All right, my name is Dom Giordano. This is America at Night on Westwood One.
Valdez. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4Valdez. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, Dom Giordano with you. And again, I'm so glad to see, and it's incredible, the amount of investment coming into America. But do we have to be, performing that, oh, yes, thank God we're being saved here. Because, in America, these people can't do this and they can't do that. That never should be said. Nope. Particularly America first. America first means we got it all. Now, it doesn't mean We have people on welfare that shouldn't be there, the baggage of the various things. But even with all that, this is the greatest country in the history of the world. Why would we be going down this thing? Look, if you want to bring in some of the managers and people with this business, the president could say that. But how about then saying, and the American workforce is going to be great with you guys. They can do anything. They will adapt. This is going to be a great partnership. Suddenly, we don't know about computers and telephones. All right, let me go to David in Palm Valley, California. He's streaming with us. Hi, David. Welcome in.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm going to make my points really quick. Trump is the most transformative, transparent, and transactional president we've ever had. And we're not used to hearing a politician and a president especially think out loud. And he does that. He drops ideas, and what I love about Trump is if he's wrong, he will correct himself. The other thing, as far as dealing with the Saudis, the Japanese were our worst enemy 80 years ago. The Germans were our worst enemy 80 years ago. They are now our allies.
Okay, now, whoa, wait a minute. And what did we do? We went into Japan. We reformed the system. Same thing with Germany. These guys are not reforming anything. They've killed people. They have a country that is dictatorial. Where are they reforming? Where are they changing, the Saudis?
We have to start somewhere is what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. No, with the starting somewhere. I get that. I get the real world. I get all that. What would you tell the victims of 9/11 and their complicity, the Saudis in that? They're not changing anything, David.
The Abraham Accords, okay? The Middle East, what's going on in the Middle East, okay? Is that nothing? And again, I think we want everything to happen right away. And I get it. We're Americans. We want things to happen now and quickly. But that's not how the world works. And I'm not even saying that this will ultimately work out.
Right.
But what president have we had in the past that is honest with what he's trying to do? And instead of us saying, hey, you know what? Let's give the man a chance. We saw what he did for, 8 years ago. He's only been in office a year. And no matter what he does, people find.
Wait a minute. No sale here. I'm not a critic with that. No sale here. Address what we're talking about here. We don't give him a chance. I just said some of the greatest legacies and policies. I'm saying I'm tired of hearing this the last couple weeks. You're okay with that, though?
I'm okay with a president thinking out loud and telling us, and yes, you know what? I'm okay with him saying, hey, you know what? Maybe these people can help us here. And he said it. When they're done, they can all leave. They can go back home. He's not telling us, hey, we need these people. Without them, we can never make it.
Wait a minute, though. What world are you living out there in California that you think Americans don't know about chips and computers? What world are you justifying that in? We're the United States of America. We run rings around everybody and everything imaginable, David. Come on.
No, if you listen to him, he's saying they're going to come in, they're going to help us build the plants, they're going to come in and train people to help.
Wait a minute. They're going to tell us something about chips that we don't know anything about. That's ludicrous.
That's not what he's saying.
Reading exactly what he said. We don't know anything about chips. They're going to have to teach us.
We take everything literally, and I'm surprised because we know how Trump speaks if we pay attention to him. He's saying something, and it comes out one way, but if you really pay attention, he's not saying we're stupid. He's not saying we can't do it.
He said that last week. We don't, with Laura Trump. Is Laura Trump not a reliable, wait a minute. Is Laura Trump not a, Laura Ingraham, a reliable source? He said the same thing. We don't have the talent. We have to import the talent. Stop it already. That's offensive.
I don't know. I disagree with you because, again, some people take Trump literally on everything or much of what he says.
Excuse me. Wait a minute, buddy. We're not going through a whole record of Trump and all your literal and all. I have to go by what a person says repeatedly. This is the second time in a couple weeks. That's in his head. Americans are not skilled enough on this stuff. We need the HB1 visa program. Are you in that camp?
I'm in the camp of doing whatever we need to do to secure the country, to make the country great, and to do what is best for the American people. And I think it's arrogant to say that we can do it all by ourselves. We're a country of immigrants. You know that. And immigrants came here and made this country, help make this country
Yeah,
what
and
it
guess
is.
what? These are not immigrants. These are mercenaries with people that are exploiting American workers. Thank you, David. The HB1 program and all that. They're undercutting wages. We have the talent. We have the people. Stop it already that we're criticizing everything about President Trump. No, that's not helpful. Well, he says 50-year mortgage because some guy whispered in his ear. Yes, sir. Let's salute that. No. Some of these ideas, some of these statements are over the top. I think this one is. Laura Ingraham said the same thing with him last week on this, and here we are back again. Why go down this path? Why be foolish in front of these people? It's embarrassing. Yeah, we're glad they're coming here and investing. Either you believe this is the United States of America or you don't. Well, we don't know anything about chips. Where's the logic in that in America? And don't give me the immigrant stuff with Dom Giordano as a name. Of course we're the nation of immigrants. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about programs and ideas brought in to undercut Americans. And America first doesn't mean, oh, we like this. We like these people. They're better. They know more about this stuff. No, that's not what it means. It means we have it all here, and we're glad you're coming to invest. And we're partners. You're investing in something that's going to be really good for you. That's why you're trying to do it. It's not an overall criticism of Trump. 833-482-5337. What does America first mean then? The president said that with Laura Ingraham. He'll define it, and what it means is we need this talent from around the world. No, it does not. That is ridiculous. Occasionally, I'm sure there's some superstar out there that we just have to bring in on some visa program. Okay. But we're dealing with thousands and thousands of people that undercut American workers and jobs. And Trump has been the biggest proponent of the American worker, supporting the American worker. Now, you get wound up in front of these people, and to me, you're attacking your own here. To say, oh, you guys are bringing talent to this country. Unbelievable. You're going to have to train us up. No way. All right, 833-482-5337. Are you in that camp? And you can't defend it by saying, well, people attack Trump all the time on this type of stuff. I'm not attacking him on that. I'm giving credit for any number of policies. The biggest, we're not going to get involved in these unending wars. So we're going to use American power in other ways. But there's something here that is just maybe a remnant from his days of running hotels and all that stuff, importing people. All these programs. Let's try this. Remove Trump for a moment. I'm against all these programs. I'm against all this stuff. I've studied this HB1 and everything else associated with it. And it's not good for American workers. We're undercutting American workers, the Biden administration, by cheap labor that the Wall Street Journal likes at lower levels of employment. Now we're undercutting Americans at IT and technical and all that by what? By importing a bunch of people who work for less. That's the way I see it. And I'm suspect of every one of these programs. Occasionally, is there somebody so good if they want to come to the country and all that? Yes. We're not talking about the immigrant experience. We're talking about exploiting and undercutting the American worker. That's the way that I see these programs. Every single one of them up and down the line. So you either believe this is America. That's not arrogance. That's confidence. It's called confidence. It's called American exceptionalism. Don't look at the baggage we have of the people not doing their fair share and all that. Look at the greatness on any walk of life of anything. Can anyone in the world match that on a macro level? No. All right, 833-482-5337. Love to hear from you here on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Dom Giordano sitting in for Rich. So during that break, I happened to see that Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, is calling for an investigation of Mark Kelly and the others who put out that tape that we've been talking about. Seemingly, the vibe of it is encouraging more in the military to resist President Trump. The idea of refusing illegal orders and never specifying what they are. What is Trump doing that's illegal? Nothing. That's why they can't specify it. So I'm hoping that this happens. Let's see how they like it now that they've jumped in out of nowhere with this. They ought to be investigated to see what the ploy is. Let's get them under oath. Let's figure out what they're actually. Let's have more follow-up questions here since the media won't do it. We'll see if the Department of Justice actually does that or not. But I think it's called for. All right, we're talking about the remarks of President Trump again, the second time in a couple weeks, of the definition of MAGA, of America First, and telling people, these investors and all, about American workers. I don't like it. Now, some of it is fueled by the Saudis. You know, I heard the caller who's saying, well, you know, the Japanese and Germans were enemies. Yeah, and we beat them in a war. And what did we do? We reformed in Japan, Douglas MacArthur, their society, and Germany was carved up into East Berlin, West Berlin, East Germany, West Germany, and all that. And we've come out the other side. The Saudis are not going to do that. They're going to continue doing what they do. And I get it. They sit on lakes of oil. They have a key position. I just get upset if we start to gush too much over them and have to go too far with them. You know, it's one thing to be businesslike, to realize it's a real world, Dom. You know, I just feel for the 9/11 survivors watching all this, and they've been speaking out. We know the complicity. We know what happened with the journalist and the bone saw and all the rest of it. And it's just difficult to watch. Okay, that's the point. All right, Joe in Salem, Arkansas, KSAR. Joe, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Obliged, Dom, for the call there. I respect highly Colonel West, always have, but he's wrong about them speedboats. Coast Guard has jurisdiction, U.S. waterline, and into land, and that's a bad call. That's an illegal order there to start blowing them out of the water. You know, there could be human or children on board for sale when they get to their destination. If them boats are too fast, well, then the Coast Guard needs to get equipped with some fast boats as well.
Well, okay, well, that's fair enough, but we don't you don't believe then that we have intelligence gathered that these are indeed drug boats?
Well, I think this is a bad scenario to get this started, start just blow them out of the water and without some type of due process. Now, act of war, okay, war on drugs, goes to the Congress. That's in Article 1, Section 8, along with coin and a penny, by the way.
Okay, but well, Joe, I would just ask you, the Congress is not going to do that. So is it business as usual? We just let them continue to flood drugs into the country? They're a drug cartel more than a country.
Well, that's a crime, no matter if it's in international or U.S. waters. Right. Treat it like a felony crime. And they need to be brought in, seize the boats. They need to board the boats as soon as they hit U.S. waters. I mean, there is a process for taking care of that. And that's what our Coast Guard is for. And
yeah,
I
but
have not
Joe, I don't think that we have the capability of doing that as easily as you're making it sound.
Well, I believe I believe it could be done. They should have speedboats, but really, there's no jurisdiction until they hit U.S. waters, in my opinion, from what I've studied.
Okay. I understand your point. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for the call. Now, is that why are the Mark Kellys and the others of the world not specifying it's about the Venezuelan drug boats? They vaguely say something about citizens, the military turning on them, U.S. citizens. What's that about? No, this was misguided. It was misplaced. And now there's consequence on it. And I agree with Todd Blanche. Let's investigate it. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's question thoroughly what they're doing. I hear Joe's point, but I'm still supportive of what we're doing because I believe these are just drug boats bringing fentanyl, cocaine, and God knows what into the country. We can differ on it. That's fine. All right, 833-482-5337. That gets you to me.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
It's America at Night. Dom Giordano, Dom D-O-M pinch hitting. Let's squeeze Mike in Reading listening on WEEU here on America at Night. Hi, Mike. Go right ahead.
Oh, hello, Dom.
Hi. Hi.
I just wanted to mention about this montage.
Yes.
You said it was 6 individuals, and they
I believe it's
posted
6.
it on
Yes.
Twitter.
Yes.
It because I need to listen to this a third time because it's so unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. If you just Google Mark Kelly, put Mark Kelly's name in for that, Mike, it'll take you right to it. You'll be able to find it.
Oh, okay. I'm writing this down.
Mark Kelly, yes.
Yeah, what, and 5 others?
I think there are 4 or 5. It might be 5, though, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and but this thing, and even coming from an ex-military person saying you can refuse orders and you must refuse orders.
Yep.
That's worse than against the Constitution and against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I'm an ex-military man. I know this also. Furthermore, I served in military intelligence.
Okay. Right.
This stuff can't be happening.
I hear you, Mike. Well, thank you for your service. And again, there's going to be repercussions on this, maybe even by tomorrow. Thank you, Mike. I think there's going to be an investigation, maybe under oath. I'm sure they'll complain and say we're suppressing their speech. No, we're taking a look at this. Is this seditious? Yes or no? May not quite be legally, but it comes very, very close to that. That's what the argument is. So, Mike, thank you very much. Be listening tomorrow because I think there'll be an update around this. All right. Dom Giordano. Follow me on Twitter at DomShow1210. Sitting in on America at Night on Westwood One.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez. America's favorite late-night talk program featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Dom Dom Giordano sitting in tonight on America at Night, and that phone number is 833-482-5337. You can get on board. The more developments throughout the night. We spent a lot of time last night talking about it. This 1-minute promo of various military people who are Democrats raising the issue of illegal, immoral, unconstitutional orders. Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General, is calling for an investigation into this. Have they done something here? So going after President Trump, they've gone outside the lines of what they're trying to prod the military to do. Now, I don't think that would stick formally, but it's a good exercise to get them on record, and let's debate it. What are they afraid of? Is it the Venezuelan drug boats? We've had callers tonight who don't think we should be doing that. Okay. Or it's congressional. That's fine. We could debate that. We can go down that path. They ought to spell it out, though. What it is they think the military is being told to do by Trump that is immoral, illegal, unconstitutional. What is it that's involved here? So we at least know what we're debating. All right, one positive thing that's happened. Due to self-deportation, due to ICE and other things, I'm looking at a Breitbart story today that says that crowding in America's K-12 schools like Miami, but not just Miami, they cite a number of them, is a thing of the past. Schools are opening up because they don't have as many kids that were drawn here because they were here illegally. Now, an anomaly, though, where I am in Philadelphia, imagine this scenario, how bad it is. And you have a lot of people in this area in Philadelphia that are kind of moderate Democrats, and they just show up and vote for Democrats. Democrats in Philadelphia is a sanctuary city in their policies. Northeast Philadelphia is as diverse from around the world as any place you're going to find, and it has drawn a tremendous number of people that are here illegally. So much so that Lincoln High School, which is a big high school, was so overcrowded last year because of this surge of people coming to Northeast Philadelphia. Kids were made to have lunch at like 9:30 in the morning. There were no lockers for many students. Couldn't do that, not enough. 6 classes put into a library with barely blocking with sand. You can imagine the chaos, what that was like. So this year, the Philadelphia Public Schools, geniuses, what did they do? They took the entire freshman class. I think it's about 900 students. They don't go to Lincoln High School in the building. They go into kind of a trailer park. Yes, that's set up on the school grounds with some kind of hallway that ultimately leads to the building. The entire freshman class. Now imagine paying your taxes and your kid ends up going to a school, public school, in trailers, the entire freshman class. So this story about overcrowding going down because of the policies of Trump, Tom Homan, what we've been doing is a blessing. It's a good thing. We're going to see more of it develop. But here in Philadelphia where I am, not so much. Imagine an entire freshman class and a big one in a trailer camp that they've set up abutting the high school. Modular trailer camp type of thing. It's ungodly looking. It's shocking that kids are going to school in trailers because of what they've done. All right, one other thing. Where I am at my station, our sports station, puts on the radio, and it's a big deal for the kids. An annual Thanksgiving Day, we're about a week away, right? Rivalry game. And, it seems to get harder and harder for them to do this. They did get a good one for this year. Because these Thanksgiving Americana rivals seem, for one reason or another, to go on out of play. You don't see it. I'm wondering all across America, this Thanksgiving, whatever school you went to, is there a rival? And where I am in Philadelphia, many times, some of these games, I think Easton, Pennsylvania plays somebody. Some of these are over 100 years old. What happened to that rivalry game, these Thanksgiving rivals where the alumni would come back, the whole thing? Well, they started with playoffs, so they don't want to play because they're going to be playing on Saturday or potentially playing on Saturday. And in general, you're just seeing, is it not enough kids are playing football anymore? And I understand some of the reasons why. But this is a kind of a bygone thing in Philadelphia where it's more limited than these used to be intense. Imagine you're playing and the record over 100 years is 50-50 to take the lead. They are historic, and now they're kind of not historic but antiquated as far as you just don't see as many of these going on. One other thing. President Trump has said he's not going to the funeral of Dick Cheney. Okay, I think it's this weekend. Vice President Cheney, who I interviewed several times in the Bush years. Now, the antagonism with Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, and the fundamental difference, this really underlines the Cheneys are a perfect example of what the Republican Party used to be. And that is, they're all in for these unending, unceasing wars. That's what they were. That's their policy. They think that's American military strength. One of the most unusual things, and I think it will be the legacy of President Trump, bigger than almost anything you can imagine, aside from all the glitz and all that. When he ran the first time, it was shocking to people. No unending wars. We're not going to get involved in all these UN sort of struggles where Americans get killed and then we can't even remember what we were doing, why we were there, what did we gain. He doesn't do that. I happened to be in the Oval Office with 3 other talk show hosts a few years back. It was around the time of a bunch of congresspeople, Dan Crenshaw was one, coming into the office trying to convince the president to put more boots on the ground in Syria. We got to overhear some of it. He would not do it. Now, bombing, using that like we did with Iran recently, very effective. Trump definitely will project that kind of power. But we are not going to lose Americans, those precious lives, throwing them into things where there's no strategy, no win, and ultimately, we don't even remember what we were doing there, these godforsaken places. That is a big legacy. That is something that is a huge upside. I would argue that will be something that is most remembered, particularly if the Republican Party seemingly sticks with this, which I think they will. All righty, phone lines are 833-482-5337, 833-482-5337. 5337. All right. And again, I'm monitoring. There's still more developments, maybe before the end of the show. We played you last night this military group. I think it's either 5 or 6 Democrats who suddenly, out of the blue, are telling the troops, you know, you're supposed to resist illegal, unconstitutional orders. And they mention the Trump administration. Yet they won't say specifically what in the world is the illegal order. If it's the Venezuelan drug boats, really that's at the level of generals. I'm not sure who pushes the button, who hits a drone or whatever with that. If they choose not to do it, I don't know what the consequence would be. But they won't be specific about this. So now Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General, was the president's personal attorney in the New York case, has said we need to investigate this. And I agree. Let's get it on with these Democrats who stirred this up. It's one thing to tell people that are in the administration, you know, if you think this is unconstitutional, illegal, you're working in the agriculture department and you get something you think is nonsensical. That gets into kind of a deep state kind of thing that we heard the first time. But when you go with the military, you are into an area here that is consequential beyond belief. So if it is the Venezuelan drug boat stuff, Say it. Tell the military that's what you're talking about, that you stand on the ground, that's an illegal order. I don't think it is an illegal order. Now, you could say it's bad judgment. You could say even they could impeach Trump if they gain the House of Representatives back. Go ahead. It's already been done how many times? That's fine. But I don't think that qualifies based upon talking we had on Colonel Allen West. I've talked to others. They don't see how that's an illegal order. Now, I think the general in charge of that area is resigning or retiring, whichever it is. That may be the reason why. He doesn't want to do it. He thinks it's illegal. Colonel West mentioned the fact the speed of these drug boats. We don't know if the U.S. Coast Guard can keep up with them. And it's harder than you think to just corner them. And, just somehow or another force them. Do you really think we're going to do that with boats at that speed with drug runners? Wouldn't we have to fire on them anyhow? Well, at least we gave them a chance. Okay. Is that what the policy should be? Somehow or another, we spot them, we catch up with them, which is going to be hard to do, and then we give them a chance before we open fire on them. Or aren't we glad that finally we're not accepting business as usual, that these drug cartels, Mexico's next, are going to continue to flood America and kill Americans? Which one is it? Do you want action or not? Don't live in a fairy tale world where we can just corner them on the high seas. Not at the speeds and not at what they're doing, and I don't think we have the capability to do that. If we were in their vicinity, we would tell them to halt, whatever the boat language is, and then we would open fire on them because they would not. All right, phone lines. 833-482-5337. That gets you to me, Dom Giordano, happily sitting in on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
It's Dom with an M. Dom Giordano sitting in tonight. By the way, the U.S. House has just voted to ban so-called no cash bail, where people walk, they don't have to put up bail in cash in Washington, D.C. This is helpful. Now, will the Senate do it? It prevents activist judges from routinely letting violent criminals back onto the street. Here in Philadelphia, our DA, who's big-time progressive, Larry Krasner, is constantly in favor of cashless bail, that you can't hold people with some kind of detainer because of their violent nature, and that has to be putting up cash of a significant amount. So good for the House, several votes tonight. That's one of the biggest that I see that's gone down. Let's go to Anthony, Albany, New York, WGDJ. Hey, Anthony, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dom, how you doing?
Good.
So, good. So I want to make 2 points. The first one is on the work visa thing.
Yes.
Real quick, 15 years ago in Silicon Valley, right in the middle of it, when they first rolled it out in technology, total scam, first-hand experience. And that's several experiences there in doing business in the Silicon Valley. Those guys didn't know crap. They bought a lot of their certifications in India before they came over, by greasing palms, just a total scam.
Yeah, it is. And it's embarrassing to me that the president feels the need to kind of be dancing with that with these investors. You know, if they bring their managers in, they do all that. Just let this unsaid. Why say that Americans can't do these things? It's crazy.
They're not. They weren't even. The guy I was doing business with was from India, who was a smart guy. We were forming a business up, and he told me that they were idiots. And then he was teaching them. He was bringing them over to replace other people. And I thought at the time I was naive. I was getting streetwise on it, and He told me, no, they're dumb. And then I found out they were. So number two,
yes.
Yeah, and then I want to make number two on the drug boat thing. The people don't seem to understand, and I have this argument with people, these podcasts and stuff, is this isn't drug trafficking as usual. This is fentanyl. Killed, I think the figure is 600,000 people in last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is poison. This is fifth generational warfare. The war has already been declared on us. That's what that is. That's not drug trafficking as usual.
Yeah, and it is a narco state. This is how Maduro, etc., make their money. They're a country. They're really a drug dealing operation masquerading as a country. And you're right. In fentanyl's danger, but for listeners, even the smallest amount, the number of people even touching it. Police talk about this all the time. The danger involved.
I don't think Maduro. He's doing it in. If you dig deeper, he's doing it in coalition with the Chinese. It's coming from China.
Yeah.
And he's running it up. And I don't think he really cares about the money that much. It's really warfare. It's fifth generational warfare. That's the term for it. They're not going to come. They're not going to come with military. They're not going to do that kind. They're not going to try and take us on that way. They're declaring war. It's a sneaky way of doing it, and then they get to play on the emotions. I'm a libertarian, so I can tell you I've got a lot of emotion about the Constitution and thoughts about it. That's what they're trying to play on. They're playing a sneaky game. The best analogy I could give you is if they came up here, did a strike, killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, took off, and then started to come back up to do another strike. Okay, and the analogy is they're bringing different drug boats up here and other shipments up here. If they're coming back, would we be restricted not to go after them in international waters?
all out war. Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for a great call. Yeah, thanks for putting it in. But again, this military stuff with Mark Kelly and these others, let's have that debate. Is that what they're talking? We don't even know what they're talking about, though. They will not specify. One was on today with Martha McCollum and wouldn't specify, well, what illegal orders? Is it the drug boats? Is it this, that, and the other? How can we have a discussion? How could anyone in the military figure this out? Okay, I think I have some people that agree more with President Trump on the HB1 visa thing. I don't. A pox on all that. We're America. We don't need these people to come in. Not in that manner. They want to come, immigrate, legal immigration over the years, okay. Not mercenaries coming in, undercut Americans. That's what these programs are about, by and large. We'll do that more at 833-482-5337. Dom Giordano, America at Night on Westwood One.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Dom Giordano on America at Night tonight. Thank you very much. I mentioned Todd Blanche early on in this raging controversy around various Democrats who were members of the military, telling people you must disobey illegal orders from President Trump. What area? What are we talking about? Todd Blanche, the number 2 guy at the Department of Justice, was on Fox tonight, and he said this: you cannot do this in this country, especially if you're a leader. So what does the investigation look like? I think they should be held to account. I think that these Congress people should be required to answer questions about why they did what they did, and the American people deserve that, and so does President Trump. In other words, trying to get at intent. What is your intent when out of the blue you come up with this nonsense and you don't give any specific other than the Trump administration? You don't say, there's been a lot in the news about the Venezuelan drug boats. That might be an illegal order. Realize if you think it is, you have the right to disobey that. Nothing like that. Vaguely, they say the military turning on U.S. citizens. Are they talking about ICE? If you will not specify what we're talking about here, what you're talking about, then immediately, to me, I dropped out of law school, but I know about intent. This gets to intent. Your intent appears to be setting up a resistance to Trump through the military, a general resistance to the chain of command and the civilian authority over the military, and to turn people into resisting without any clear area that we're debating. Even if they specified an area, that doesn't necessarily get you off the hook, but at least you're not as suspect. We can say, all right, this is a big area of concern. What should we tell people in the military about this vis-a-vis illegal, unconstitutional, immoral orders? And the military people we've heard, Colonel West and others, nothing like that would come up under the guise of an illegal order. They're doing this. They got caught. They thought they'd use their leverage. They were in the military. They'd go after Trump. And people are afraid that some younger members of the military may hear this and may think, well, I don't know. I want to be a patriot. Maybe I should refuse to do that. Maybe it is unconstitutional. You could see where this leads. They have really taken a giant step there. I'm glad we identified that last night, well before this. And now they're trying to cover their tracks. Again, get them under oath exactly what is the specific. In other words, who said what to you? Why did you agree to do this? Out of the blue, where did this come from? What was your intent? They seem to be saying, just a refresher course so that they know about this. Really? We're going to buy that under oath? I don't think so. Let's go to Ed in Akron, Ohio. WNIR. Ed, welcome. Go right ahead.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, Ed. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I actually called about the other subject, but regarding the congressman and, let them expose any idiot in the military that's going to listen to them and not their commander or XO or...
Whoa, wait a minute, though, Ed. I don't know that this would be necessarily any idiot in the military. Maybe some people, are hearing, well, wait a minute, maybe they're younger, and they're trying to be patriotic and they get caught up in this type of stuff. I don't want to see them injured by what these people are doing, abusing their office.
Okay, I don't mean to refer to anyone in the military as an idiot. Okay. They're trying to serve their country. I serve my country. I'm a veteran. My father's a veteran. My grandfather's a veteran.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was. I'm not saying that at all. But if they're going to listen to some liberal Democrat congressman who's obviously just trying to, they get away. They can seem to be able to get away with murder. They get in front of hearings. They can, they can lie through their teeth. They get away with it. No one gets locked up. Americans are sick and tired of this. But these Democrats get away with it. Get some Republicans up there doing the same thing. They'll be locked up and go to prison. People are sick and tired of this.
All right, I got
nonsense.
you, and thank you. And look, that's one of the reasons Trump was elected. And I get it. It seems like this never happens where there's accountability on that. That's what I would agree with Todd Blanche, who was on tonight, that there has to be, at least they have to be put under oath. Well, I will tell you about accountability, and it didn't happen in the Biden years. We have a Democrat, this younger woman in Congress from Florida. She and her brother, among others, were indicted, and this is due to the Justice Department, for allegedly stealing $5 million. They were overpaid in COVID money way back when. They allegedly took that, used it for her congressional campaign. They never did the COVID procedures or vaccinations or whatever. That's what the allegation is. So, I try to highlight when I'm on here some of the things where people are being held accountable, because we don't want people to feel, what use is it complaining about this? Democrats get away with it. And I realize you have Hunter Biden, you have Joe Biden, you have the whole nonsense that they were engaged in. That sometimes does happen. But we are seeing the Justice Department go after people here, and we are seeing convictions. And I think in this woman's case, you may see that. Now, with these, it's more in the court of public opinion, although if under oath they start lying about their intent, there could be trouble. I definitely want an investigation of this because we want them to spill their guts. What is it they're talking about? And again, concerned about not generals, but people at some level who get a fuzzy message about that. Am I doing the right thing? Just imagine the nerve of these people conspiring to come together. One of them is in the Philadelphia suburbs. I go after her routinely. Her name is Houlihan. She served in the Air Force. She says it's insidious how people are twisting my words in this. We're not twisting anything, lady. You should be ashamed as a member of the military. And Mark Kelly, some of these others, like Slotkin, the senator from Michigan, I could see doing this. But Mark Kelly is not somebody who usually plays off. I don't agree with his ideology and a lot of stuff, but I'm really surprised at him. They just get Trump derangement syndrome and they go nuts. If you can't tell us specific areas where it's apparent to you that Trump may be giving illegal orders, either in the past or he might going to be doing it next, and to tell people in the military, hey, you don't have to follow that, then you can't do this. It's too damaging. You are just throwing stuff out there to tell people, well, if it's coming from Trump, there's a good shot it's unconstitutional, immoral, and illegal. You must resist. This is something in which they have to get on record with these people. I hope Blanche isn't just saying that. They got to do it. Daryl in Dallas, Texas. KLIF. I broadcast from their studios a couple times. Hey, Daryl, welcome in.
Hey, what's going on, Dom? How
Hi.
are you doing?
Good.
Hi. Hey, man, let me ask you now. Where do you broadcast from?
Well, right now I'm broadcasting from the Dom Dome, which is my home studio, but I broadcast from Talk Radio 1210 in downtown Philadelphia.
Okay, that's what I thought. Ooh, got a huge one Sunday.
Boy, are you a Cowboys fan? Yeah. Well,
of course, man.
I feel for you. It used to be a rivalry. Then it wasn't because Dallas was too good and the Eagles were not. Now the Eagles are too good and Dallas isn't.
Hey, but you know what, man? Even going back to the 70s, it's always been a rivalry, no matter what the records are.
Really on the Dallas side? I just thought it was people here in Philadelphia. I didn't think you cared in Dallas.
Nah, we still care. It is what it is right now. You know what I'm saying? But maybe one day.
Yeah.
But, hey, man, I just wanted let me switch gears real quick. I just wanted to first off, I'm a Democrat. I didn't call the rip or anything like that. But there's one thing that you and I hope all Americans can agree on. What Trump was talking about, and let me say what President Trump was talking about as far as us not being ready, not having the, you know what I'm saying? Man, you got Microsoft, you got Google, you got Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You got TI right here,
Yes.
And that's really offensive. And the only thing I want to say, and it it just goes back to, I don't know if you're old enough to remember 1984, the USFL days, and how that went down. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of where my disdain with him kind of started. But I will say this, and every American who's listening to this show, who heard the comments, who saw the press conference or whatever, you got to really put in your mind, what does this president really think about us as Americans when he's playing up to these other countries and saying the stuff that he's saying?
In this area, it's embarrassing. It's not good, and it's faulty. We are the United States. To your point, we rule the world in this. We absolutely have the people for any of this stuff. We don't need to be trained up by anybody in a foreign thing. If they want to come here because they do it their way, accommodate them. They're bringing a lot of money. Yes. But massive workforces because we can't do it? No. Great to talk with you, Daryl. Go Cowboys. Well, maybe not on Sunday. I think the Eagles will have little trouble with them. The Eagles are just talented beyond belief now. Even though their offense has not been good, they're still 8-2. And here in Philadelphia, people are like, we don't like this. They're not playing well enough. They're 8-2, won the Super Bowl last year. It's a strange thing. All right, I'm coming to some more callers. You get in at 833-482-5337. Looks like, let's see if they follow through now, Todd Blanche. Get these people. I don't know if they'd have to subpoena them, what they're going to do with them. Democrats have made a big mistake here. Will they be held accountable, at least in the court of public opinion, to have to specify why out of the blue are they trying to disturb the chain of command? Yes, illegal orders. What's the illegal order that President Trump has given, or even a sense of that? 833-482-5337.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
After the guest leaves every night and we're doing open phones, kind of at the heartbeat of America. And you sit there in this radio studio and suddenly you hear voices. Mobile, Dallas, New York, Miami. And there's kind of a conglomeration of America all in one room.
That's America at Night. That's what we try to do. Thrilled to be sitting in. Dom Giordano. Follow on Twitter at DomShow1210. Let's go to Paul in Zanesville, Ohio, listening on WHIZ. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Dom. Well, this is one time I got to disagree with you a little bit, Dom.
Okay, sure.
I'm a faithful listener. Yeah. I'm waiting for Rich to get back too. I heard a little bit of talk about maybe he's leaving the show. I don't know, but anyway, I disagree with you a little bit because I think what Donald Trump is doing is he's bringing commerce to our country. Look at the countries that he's went to and made these chip deals, these mineral deals to bring them over here. Now it's like a good union. You got to start as novices. I don't know how many people are here that knows how to run one of those factories or so forth. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong because I'm sure you'll put me there. But anyway, I just think that.
All right, but Paul, wait a minute, Paul. Tell me why, again, we have to brag about this or do this publicly. You know what I mean? If you're saying negotiating, they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to allow it. It's quiet. I'm still opposed to it in theory, but okay, I'm not going to get bent out of shape. I'm talking about this public thing. He did it with Laura Ingraham last week, too. Laura, we don't have the talent. We don't have the smarts with this stuff. What world is he looking at?
I don't believe that, but you know how Trump can be a blowhard sometimes.
Well, that's
what I
that. And I give ground, Paul, to your point. He likes to talk out loud, likes to do it. I'll put my cards on the table, particularly with the Saudis there. You got to refrain from this. I can't take that. I just can't take calling out Americans in that manner and saying MAGA will just go along with it because I define what's MAGA and all. Refrain from doing that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get your point. After 9/11 and all that, I have a little disdain in my mouth for that.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I do not have a problem with Trump bringing industry back into this country.
No, of course he's doing a brilliant job about it. I mean, the numbers are, even if they're not, they don't happen. If they're close to that, they are staggering. No president has done that, without a doubt.
Right. Give him time, people. He's only been in office for a year. Look what Joe Biden did to us. He brought in 10 million illegals. Well, boy, they're really intelligent, ain't they? They're not.
Oh, no. Well, look, this isn't condemning him or condemning these policies, but this is a tick that I think is has to be resolved to not publicly be saying this about American workers. I can't imagine he believes that, but if he does, he's wrong.
Okay, yes, he would be, but I don't think that's his intention. You know,
Okay.
I'm 100% behind Trump, and I believe what he's doing.
I got you. Thank you, Paul. Have a nice night. Thanks for a great call, as always. All right, we wrap up this hour tonight at 833-482-5337. No, publicly, he did it with Laura Ingraham, that big interview last week. She called him on it, too. We just don't have the talent. What kind of mentality is that in America? That's just not true. We're saying that in some instances, these HB1 programs, because they want to undercut American workers, Wall Street Journal, people like that. We absolutely do have the talent. Here and there is some superstar in the world that's so much better, a genius, that we want to pluck and bring in. Okay. How often does that happen? You know, just take a look at the NBA. I really have to say, they overdo it with European players. I don't see it versus American players. Put them one-on-one against American players. Half of them couldn't guard most American basketball players that are top-notch. It's ridiculous. It's just another example. We dominate basketball. We always will. It's ridiculous. This is similar. All right, wrap up. Coming up, Dom Giordano sitting in on America at Night.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Dom Giordano sitting in on America at Night. Let's squeeze another call in here. Let me go to George in Burlington, Vermont, WVMT. Go right ahead, George.
Hey, Dom. Aren't you the fellow that was going to work for the FBI?
Work for the FBI. Not that I remember, George.
I thought you were appointed to second or under secretary of the FBI.
No, that's Dan Bongino.
Oh.
Yeah, not Giordano, Bongino, yeah. It's not a paisan, I am. Yeah, so, but go ahead. You got something, I think, pretty good about Burlington.
Well, yeah, we've got a chip plant here.
Okay.
But, you know, it seems like you're shooting sideways at Trump with this issue, and
all right. Well, if you have a chip plant
he
there,
doesn't need that.
Okay.
I guess
all right.
Well, you didn't get the job with the FBI.
All right. I'll remember that. Oh, it's Dan Bongino. Yeah, I didn't get it. I wanted to be in the FBI. Hey, thanks to Rich Good for producing tonight. Alex Hinton, executive producer. Follow me on Twitter at TomShow1210. My goodness. It came round to that here in the end. The FBI. Why didn't they take me into the FBI? You're listening to America at Night on Westwood One.